mag-explain?
Ikaw na kaya?
Ako na naman. Ikaw na. Ikaw na mag-explain.
We are discussing the contemporary in traditional art. The topic is Gawad sa Manilikha ng Bayan or GAMABA. It is called National Living Treasures. GAMABA is an award given to artists in the Philippines who produce outstanding works. The award was established in 1992 by Republic Act No. 7355 and lasted until 2012. The GAMABA Awardees are those who have implemented a program to ensure the transfer of their skills to others. They take steps to foster a genuine appreciation of traditional craft and art, as well as to instill pride in our people in the skills of Gawad sa Manilikha ng Bayan or GAMABA. Filipinos were recognized as being at the forefront of practice, preservations, and promotions at the country's traditional folk arts. So the question is, how to be a GAMABA Awardees?
We should discuss this. There are 6 of qualification to be a GAMABA awardee. First, they must have passed on or will pass on to other members of the community their skills in the folk art for which the community is traditionally known. Second, is they must be an inhabitant of an indigenous or traditional cultural community in anywhere in the Philippines that have preserved indigenous customs, beliefs, rituals, and traditions and has syncretized whatever external elements that has influenced it. Third, is they must have engaged in a folk art tradition that has been in existence and documented for at least 50 years.
Fourth is they must have consistently performed or produced over a significant period works of superior and distinctive quality. Fifth, he, she, or a group must possess a master of tools and must have an established in the art as masters and makers of works of extraordinary technical quality. And lastly, they must have passed on and or will pass on to the other members of the community their skills in folk art which the community is traditionally.
Is there any GAMABA awardees?
There are 13 GAMABA awardees. First is Uwang Ahadas. He is a musician. He was awarded for his dexterity in playing yakan musical instrument such as the kwintangan, gabang, agong, kwintangan kayo, and tungtungan. He awarded in 2000. Yakan musical instruments are not the easiest or affordable to maintain. But Uwang Ahadas of Lumitaw, Basilan, made it his life teaching style is hands-on and supportive, giving his student his full attention.
Second is Magdalena Gamayo, was awarded in 2012. She is a textile weaver. She is from Ilocos Norte. Magdalena Gamayo took up weaving when she was 16 years old. Guiding by her aunt's pattern, she taught herself tradition patterns such as pusikus, marurok, and sinanan padak tipusa. Building on more common inuritan and sinansabong to keep Ilocos Abel weaving tradition alive. She teaches her practice to her cousins, daughter-in-law, and sister-in-law.
Third is Eduardo Mutok. He is a metalsmith and an artist. He is Kapampangan from Central Luzon. He was recognized for reviving Spanish colonial era craft of plateria. He was awarded in 2004. This self-taught master craftsman found his calling production religious and secular art, silver, bronze, and wood. Having finished up to elementary school, Eduardo Mutok, a farmer at the time, became an apprentice to furniture carvers to earn additional income.
Fourth is Lang Dulay. Tinalak is a weaver at Tibol of Lake, Cebu, South Cotabato, was awarded for weaving the Abaka ikat clothes called Tinalak. In Lang Dulay's family, the weaving of the Tinalak, a fine Abaka clothes, took place before or after farm work. When the weather was cool and the conditions were better for the product, Dulay, who grew up Lake Cebu, South Cotabato, was taught with by her mother when she was 12. She was awarded in 1998 but unfortunately she died in 2015.
Is Samao Sulaiman. Samao Sulaiman is a musician. He was a Magindanaon of Mamasapan of Maguindanao. He was awarded for his outstanding artistry and dedication to his chosen instrument, the Maguindanao Kutyapi. Kutyapi is a two-string black lute regarded as the one of the most difficult and demanding to master among Filipinos traditional. Musician Samaon was the master of the Kutyan, a two-signed lute that requires highly technical skill to play. He was also proficient in playing instruments such as the kutlang, agong, gandingan, and tambul Sulaiman. Fascination of his craft led him to become an influential teacher. He was awarded in 1993 and died in 2011. 6 is Haja Amina Api. She was a pandan mat weaver, lives in Ungos, Matata, Jandubas, Tawi-Tawi. She was recognized as master mat weaver among as the Sama indigenous community of Ungos, Matata. Her colorful mats with their complex geometric patterns exhibit her precise sense of design, promotion of symmetry, and sensitivity to color. Haja Amina Api of Ungos, Matata, Tandubas, that boasts beautiful geometric design, vibrant colors, and symmetry.
7 is a Paderico Caballero, is a chanter and an educator. He is from Panay Bukidnon of Calino, Iloilo. He was awarded for his mastery of chanting the Sagaydanon, the epic tradition of Central Panay in 2000. He ceaselessly worked for the documentation of the epics of his people, painstakingly piecing together the element of this oral tradition nearly lost. He was best known for his expertise in Sagaydanon, a Central Panay epic traditionally chanted while lying on hammock, and his work in the preservation of oral literature, documenting 10 Panay Bukidnon epics is an extinct language with close ties in Kaya. 8. Isaginaw Bilog is good at making poets. A Hanon Mangyan of Mansalay, Oriental Mindoro, awarded for faithfully preserving the Hanon Mangyan script and Ambahan poetry. He has promoted the local script and poetry so that the art will not be lost but preserved. The Mangan script is one of the 4 remaining Slavic scripts in the country, and Ginabilog's work has been crucial to its preservation. Based in Mansalay, Oriental Mindoro, the poet was known for writing Ambahan, a metaphoric poem comprising 7 syllable lines, first in a notebook, then a traditionally used bamboo tubes. The poems, often recited with the music at social gatherings and used to convey messages, the among Hanon Mangyan, had topics like advising the young, bidding a friend goodbye, and asking for a place to stay. Bilogs, who was awarded in 1992, died in 2003.
9 is Salenta Monon, is a textile weaver. She is GAMABA awardee of Tagabawa Bagobo, Bansalan, Davao del Sur. She was awarded for fully demonstrating the creative and expressive aspect of the Bagobo Abaka, ikat weaving called inabal, at a time when such art is strengthened with extension in 1988. Salenta Monon was 12 when she began learning to weave the inabal, a traditional Bagobo textile. Her favorite pattern, despite or because of its difficulty, was the binuwaya.
For 10 is Darhata Suabi is also a textile weaver. The parang Sulu-based textile weaver primary creation was the headpiece Pisiabit. Pisi stand for the pattern which is said to be derived from India's mandala, depicting spirituality through geometric forms, and Siabit refers to the hook and technique. She gained recognition for the precision of her work and her passion for preserving traditional design, as well as teaching the youth, and was awarded in 2004. It is difficulty art of tapestry weaving that create the traditional square used by the Tausug for ornamentation.
For Elibal Pino Garcia is a guard hat maker. He produces everything he needs, planting and harvesting the guards, splitting and repinning rattan for the lining, and weaving nito and bamboo for accents himself, and usually takes 7 days to finish a hat. He is a GAMABA awardee of San Quinti Abra who have discovered and popularized the durable tabungaw hat out of enlarged upo or gourd. Through word of mouth, his participation in the annual local harvest festival, Garcia was able to introduce the tabungaw plant as a good starting material for functional, elegant, and protective hats. And for 12, Alonso Saclar is a traditional dancer and musician. It was through observation time and experience rather than education or training or any kind that Alonso Saclar of Lubuagan, Kalina mastered local musical instruments along with dance patterns associated with rituals. Some of these are rarely performed but done so with special purposes, whether it's preparing for retaliation, a victorious vindication for the community, or for giving successful peace pacts. Saclar understands the importance of his practice and is a strong advocate of passing of his knowledge and continuing the use of traditional dress and adornments. His efforts have included formal education, reaching radio stations, and the information of the Kalina Budong Dance Trophy. Thank you.
And for the last GAMABA awardee is Masino Intaray, a chanter and musician. He is a member of Palawan tribe, musician, and epic chanter. Masino Intaray was a master of the basal, a gong music ensemble play during rice cooking and sharing rituals, which gathered the community as they served offerings to Palawan rice god Ampot Paray. He was also recognized for his versatility as musician, poet, epic chanter, and storyteller, and bamboo sitter, and the bagit, an instrumental piece about nature.
So those are the GAMABA awardees, and our place was mentioned. I'm so proud.
The factors affecting the traditional artist production process are Christianization. The impact of Christianity in the discussion of the local to our remote religion have made individuals from the network reject their indigenous ceremonies and customs. At more regrettable, individuals are persuaded the laws are crude and thusly their training has no spot in contemporary culture. Now and again, notwithstanding, the network figures out how to syncretize their indigenous way with customs of Christianity. Mining and framework venture. Mining and system adventure expel individuals from their homes and seriously harm the earth. Deny the abundance of the land. Indigenous gatherings are provoked to look for short-term work from these businesses to get by in a cash economy. Tourism plays a big role in one's nation. This is to promote the culture, environment, and the life of a nation to others. Along this line, land regions are charged over into locals for traveler utilization. Environmental spaces become increasingly vulnerable to harm with the consolidated power of catastrophic events and visitor convenience. Work of art local to the network will in general reduce in quality. Expelled from their unique setting, the works are changed into mass-delivered ornaments so as to satisfy the needs of the traveler exchange. Neon use and structures woven from engineered strands have been made accessible as of late to make projects of level-headed material plans for business purposes. Militarization. The weakness and pressure realized by hostile areas capture the individual's capacity to make workmanship. It keeps individuals from having public social events where trades and passing information can happen.
Can we talk about the national artists of the Philippines and their contribution?
I assume that Angelica know what the topic is all about.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to discuss this. Do you know what is the National Artist Award? Among the different honors and acknowledgement instruments, the National Artist Award or NAA presents the most elevated type of acknowledgement to Filipino craftsmen for their noteworthy commitments in the expression of the human experience and letters. It is the highest national acknowledgement given to Filipino people who have made noteworthy commitments to the improvement of Philippine expressions. In particular, music, dance, theater, visual arts, literature, film, broadcast arts, and architecture and allied arts. The request is mutually directed by the National Commission for Culture and Arts, or NCCA, and the Cultural Center of the Philippines, or CCP, and gave by the President of the Philippines upon suggestions by the two organizations. It has similar glory as the GAMABA and the National Artist Award. The honor is presented at regular intervals through a thorough consultation and determination process mutually encouraged by two significant social workplaces, the National Commission on Culture and Expressions of the Human Experience and the Social Focal Point of the Philippines. NAA was built up in 1972 under Presidential Decree No. 1001, gave by then President Ferdinand Marcos. The first was Fernando Amor Solo, who has presented the honor after that. Much has changed since the organization of the honor. As of this composition, the list has included 66 awardees from 7 disciplinal zones to be specific, engineering structure and associated expressions, film expressions and communicate expressions, visual expressions, writing, music, and theater.
Is there any criteria to be a national artist of the Philippines?
Who are the awardees? How it was paved its way? Who are the national artists in music, dance, theater, architecture, and visual arts? What are the most important contributions in the country? Are there criteria set as basis in choosing them? These questions are some of the few questions that comes into mind when we talk about awardees. The national artists of the Philippines are based on a broad criteria. As said, worked by the Cultural Center of the Philippines and the National Commission on Culture and the Arts. Number 1 is living artists who have been Philippine citizens for the last 10 years prior to nomination, as well as those who have died after the establishment of the awards in 1972 but were Filipino citizens at the time of their death. Number 2 is those artists who have helped build a Philippine sense of nationhood through the content and form of their works. Number 3 is those artists who have distinguished themselves by pioneering in a mode of creative expression or style, making an impact on succeeding generation of artists. Number 4 is those artists who have created a significant body of works and or have consistently displayed excellence in the practice of their art, from enriching artistic expression or style. And the last but not the least, those artists who have enjoyed broad acceptance through prestigious national and or international recognition award in prestigious national and or international events, critical acclaim and or reviews of their works, and or respect and esteem from peers within artistic disciplines.
Architecture. In architecture, there are 5 national artists in the Philippines. These are Pablo S. Antonio, Leandro V. Locsin, Juan F. Nakpil, Ildefonso P. Santos Jr., and Francisco T. Manosa. Pablo S. Antonio, he is a national artist in the Philippines in architecture 1976. His famous works are Far Eastern University Administration and Science Buildings, Manila Polo Club, Idea Theater, Lyric Theater, Galaxy Theater, Kapitan Luis Gonzaga Building, Boulevard Alhambra Apartments, and Ramon Rosas Publications Building. Leandro V. Locsin, he is also a national artist in the Philippines in architecture 1990. He believes that the true Philippine architecture is the product of 2 great streams of culture, the Oriental and the Occidental, to produce a new object of profound harmony. Locsin's largest single work is the Istana Nurul Iman, the palace of the Sultan of Brunei, which has a floor area of 2.2 million square feet. The CCP complex itself is a virtual Locsin complex with all 5 buildings designed by him: the Cultural Center of the Philippines, Folk Arts Theater, Philippine International Convention Center, Philsite, and the Westin Hotel.
Juan F. Nakpil was known as a national artist in architecture in 1973. He is also a teacher and a civic leader. Nakpil's major works are the Geronimus de los Reyes Building, Magsaysay Building, Rizal Theater, Capitol Theater, Captain Pepe Building, Manila Jockey Club, Mofino Building, Philippine Village Hotel, University of the Philippines Administration and University Library, and the reconstructed Rizal House in Calamba, Laguna.
Idelfonso P. Santos Jr., he grew up in Malabon, made his first mark with Makati Commercial Center where he introduced a new concept of outdoor shopping with landscape, walks, fountains, and sculpture as accents. His contribution to modern Filipino landscape architecture was the seminal public landscape in Paco Park. Santos Jr.'s most recent public were the Tagaytay Highland Resort, the Mount Marayat Golf and Country Club in Lipa, Batangas, and the Orchard Golf and Country Club in Imus, Cavite. Francisco T. Manosa, for all his more than 60 years of architecture life, Bobby Manyosa designed Filipino from the 1960s in his landmark design to the Sulu Hotel until his retirement about 2015. He courageously and passionately created original Filipino forms, spaces with intricate and refined details. But what is the most valuable is that Manyosa was in the heart and soul of a Philippine architectural movement. He has developed a legacy of Philippine architecture which is essential to our Filipino identity and at the same time deeply appreciated and shared in our world today. His major works are San Miguel Building Ortigas Center, Pasig City, Chapel of the Risen Lord, Las Piñas City, Our Lord of Peace Shrine, EDSA, Quezon City, World Youth Day, Papal Altar, Quirido, Grandstand, Manila, 1995. Those are his major works and many more.
We have 5 national artists in the visual arts. Those are Fernando Amorsolo, Hernando R. Ocampo, Abdul Mari Asha Imau, Guillermo Tolentino, and Lauro Alcala. Fernando Amorsolo is a national artist for visual arts, May 30, 1892 to April 24, 1972. Fernando C. Amorsolo, the first National Artist Awardee, he was titled Grand Old Man of Philippine Art, was bestowed on Amorsolo when the Manila Hilton inaugurated its art center on January 23, 1969, with an exhibit of selection of his works. Among others, his major works include the following: Maiden in a Stream, 1921, GSIS Collection, El Siago, 1928 Central Bank of the Philippines Collection, Dalagang Bukid, 1936 Club Filipino Collection, The Mestiza, 1943 The National Museum of the Philippines Collection, Planting Rice, 1946, UCPB The Collection, Sunday Morning Going to Town, 1958, Ayala Museum Collection. Hernando R. Ocampo is a national artist for visual arts in 1991. He is a self-taught painter and was a leading member of the pre-war 13 Moderns, the group that charted the course of modern art in the Philippines. His works provided an understanding and awareness of the harsh social realities in the country immediately after the Second World War and contributed significantly to the rise of the national spirit in the post-war era. Ocampo acknowledged Masterpiece Genesis served as the basis of the curtains design of the Cultural Center of the Philippines Main Theater. His other major works include Inanang Balon, Calvary, Slum Dwellers, Nude with Candles and Flowers, Man and Carabao, Angel's Kiss, Palayok at Kalan, Ancestors, Isda at Mangga, The Resurrection, 53Q, Backdrop, Fiesta.
Abdul Mari Asia Elmau is a sculptor, painter, photographer, ceramist, documentary filmmaker, cultural researcher, writer, and articulator of Philippine Muslim art and culture. Through his works in the indigenous Yukal Sari Manok and Naga motifs have been popularized and instilled in Dusty Brass, Moral Philippine National Bank, San Fernando La Union, Moral Relief of Filmmaking, Manila City Hall, Industrial, Moral Central Bank of Philippines, San Fernando La Union, Sulu Warriors. States of Panglima, UNAID, and Captain Abdurrahim Elmau, 6 feet Sulu Province Capital.
Guillermo Estrella Tolentino is a product of the revival period in the Philippines art. The result was the UP oblation that became the symbol of freedom at the campus. Acknowledged as his masterpiece and completed in 1933, The Bonifacio Monument in Caloocan stands as the enduring symbol of the Filipinos' cry for freedom. Other works include the bronze figures of President Quezon at Quezon Memorial, life-size bust of Jose Rizal at UP and UE, marble statue of Ramon Magsaysay in GSIS building, granolithics of heroic statue representing education, medicine, forestry, veterinary science, fine arts and music at UP. He also designed the gold and bronze medal for the Ramon Magsaysay Award and did the Seat of Republic of the Philippines Portrait Night, Glow's Grand Finale, Cities of the Past Imagery, Landscape. His mural painting black and white is displayed in the lobby of the CCP's Bulwagan Carlos V. Francisco Little Theater. His sculpture of stainless steel cube is located in front of the Benguet Mining Corporation building in Pasig. Lauro Alcala was known in 2018 when he became the national artist for visual arts. His economic strips spiced up the slice of the Filipino lives in the witty illustration executed throughout his 56 years of cartooning. He created over 500 characters and 20 comic strips in widely circulated publication. Alcala's most iconic work, Slice of Life, not only made for decades long of widely circulated images of Filipino everyday life, it is also symbolically became an experiential way for his followers to find a sense of self in midst of an often cacophonic, raucous and at odds environment that Filipinos found themselves amidst. Notable works: Slice of Life, Weekend, 1980 to 1986, Asyong Aksaya, Daily Express, Tagalog Classics, 1976 to 1984, Small Rebels, Dama Comics, 1972-1984, Siopaw Man, Daily Express, 1972 to 1983 to 2002, Calabogension, Filipino Comic, 1966 to 1972, Congressman Kalog, Aliwan Comics, 1966 to 1972, Barrio Pogspak, Holiday Comic, 1966 to 1972, Loverboy, Redondo Comics, 1964 to 1969, Mang Ambo Weekend Graphic, 1963-1965, Kalabog and Bosha, Filipino Comics, 1949 to 1983, Islao Palitaw, 1946 to 1948.
In literature, there are 4 artists, while in historical literature is only 1 person. For literature, those are Francisco Arcilana, Edet El Tiempo, Bienvenido Lombera, Virgilio S. Almario, and Ramon L. Muzons. For historical literature is Carlo Quirino. Francisco Arcilana is a national artist for literature in 1990. He is a writer, poet, essayist, critic, journalist, and a teacher. Arcilana's published books are selected stories, poetry, and politics. The state of original writing in English in the Philippines today
the Francisco Arcilana Sampler. Edith Alchampo is a national artist in literature. In 1999, she is a poet, fictionist, and literary critic. As fictionist, Champo is a morally profound. Her language has been marked as descriptive but unburdened by scrupulous detailing. She is an influential tradition in Philippine literature in English. Together with her late husband, Edalberto K. Champo, she founded and directed the Silliman National Writers Workshop in Dumaguete City, which has produced some of the country's best writers.
Bienvenido Lumbera is a national artist for literature on 2006. Bienvenido Lumbera is a poet, librettist, and scholar. As a poet, he introduced to Tagalog literature what is now known as bagay poetry, a landmark aesthetic tendency that has helped to change the vernacular poetic tradition. He is the author of the following works: Likhang Dila, Likhang Diwa, Poems in Filipino and English, 1993 Balaybay, Mga Tulang Lunot at Manibalang, 2002 Sa Sariling Bayan, Apat na Dulang May Musika, 2004 Agunya sa Hacienda Luisita, Pakikiramay 2004. As a librettist for the tales of the Manuvu and Dramahari, he pioneered the creative fusion of fine arts and popular imagination. As a scholar, his major books include the following: Tagalog Poetry, 1570 to 1898, Tradition and Influences in its Development, Philippine Literature, A History and Ethology, Revaluation, Essays on Philippine Literature, Writing the Nation, or Pag-akda ng Bansa.
Virgilio S. Almario is a national artist in 2003. He is also known as Rio Alma, is a poetic, literary historian, and critic who has revived and reinvented traditional Filipino poetic form, even as a champion modernist poetics. Some of his work are Makinasyon and Peregrinación, the landmark trilogy Doctrine ng Anak Pawis, Mga Retrato and Recuerdo, and muli Sa Kandungan ng Lupa. In this work, his poetic voice soared from the lyrical to the satirical to the epic, from the dramatic to the incantatory, in his often severe examination of the self and the society. Roman L. Mosones is a national artist also for literature in 2018. Roman Mosones was a Hiligaynon poet, essayist, short story writer, critic, grammarian, editor, lexicographer, and novelist who authored an unprecedented 61 completed novels. His notable works are Sri Bisaya 1969, Malalanga, Gutom, Malignant, Hungry 1965, Babae, Batok sa Kalibutan, Woman Against the World 1959, Ang Gugma, Sanggugma, Bayaran, Love with the Love Depaid 1955, Si Tamblot 1948, Margo sa Tubig 1946.
Rowena Raffle, Theater Design. In theater design, Salvador F. Bernal is the national artist for the theater design in 2003. Salvador F. Bernal designed more than 300 productions distinguished for their originality. Sensitive to the budget limitation of the local production, he harnessed the design potential of inexpensive local materials, pioneering or maximizing the use of bamboo, raw abaca and abaca fiber, hemp twine, rattan chain links, and the quascacha. As the acknowledged guru of contemporary Filipino theater design, Bernal shared his skills with younger designers through his classes at the University of the Philippines and the Ateneo de Manila University, and through the programs he created for the CC Production Design Center, which he himself conceptualized and organized.
national artists for dance. First one is Francisca Reyes Aquino. Francisca Reyes Aquino is acknowledged as the folk dance pioneer. This Bulaqueña began her research on folk dances in the 1920s, making trips to remote barrios in central and northern Luzon. Her research on the unrecorded forms of local celebration, ritual, and sport resulted into a 1926 thesis titled Filipino Folk Dances and Games, and arranged specifically for use by teachers and playground instructors in public and private schools. Her books include the following: Philippine National Dances, 1946, Gymnastics for Girls, 1947, Fundamental Dances, Steps and Music, 1948, Foreign Folk Dances, 1949, Dances for All Occasion, 1950, Playground Demonstration, 1951, and Philippine Folk Dances, Volume 1 to 6. Second one is Ramon Obusan. Ramon Obusan was a dancer, choreographer, stage designer, and artistic director. He achieved phenomenal success in Philippine dance and cultural work. He was also acknowledged as a researcher, archivist, and documentary filmmaker who broadened and deepened the Filipino understanding of his own cultural life and expressions. These are the full-length production he choreographed. Vamos a Belen series, 1998 to 2004. Noon po sa amin, Drama and Dance Obra Maestra, a collection of Ramon Obusan's dance masterpieces, Unpublished Dances of the Philippines, Series 1 to 4. Water, Fire, and Life, Philippine Dances and Music, a celebration of life, Saludo, sa Centennial, Glimpses of Asian Dances and Music of Asian Member Countries sa plot, Ramon Obusan Folkloric Group, Philippine Costumes in Dance. Third one is Alice Reyes. She is a dancer, choreographer, teacher, and director. She has made a lasting impact on the development and promotion of contemporary dance in the Philippines. Her dance legacy is evident in the dance companies, teachers, and choreographers, and the exciting Filipino modern dance repertoire of our country today. Her biggest contribution to the Philippine dance is the development of a distinctly Filipino modern dance idiom, utilizing inherently Filipino materials and subject matters expressed through a combination of movements and styles from Philippines' indigenous dance, modern dance, and classical ballet. She has successfully created a contemporary dance language that is uniquely Filipino. Her masterpiece, Amada, to the modern dance classic Itim Aso, to her last major work, Bayanihan Remembered, which she staged for ballet Philippines among her major works, Amada, 1969, at a Maranao Gathering, 1970, Itim Aso, 1971, Tales of the Manuvu, 1977, Haramahari, 1980, Bayanihan Remembered, 1987. We have Leonor Orosa Godinko, dubbed the Trailblazer, mother of the Philippine Theater Dance and Dean of Filipino Performing Arts Critics. Leonor Orosa Goquinco, pioneer Filipino choreographer in balletic, folkloric, and Asian styles. Produced for over 50 years highly original, first-of-a-kind choreographies, mostly to her own storyline. These include Trend, Return to Native in a Javanese Garden Sports, Vinta in a concentration camp, The Magic Garden, The Clowns, a Fibered Nollidan Suite, The Flagrant, The Creation, seen as her most ambitious work, is the dance epic Filipinescas, Philippine Life, Legend, and Lore. With it, Orosa brought native folk dance, mirroring Philippine culture from pagan to modern times, to its highest stage of development.
There are only one person in fashion design. It is Roman Valera. She is a national artist from fashion design in 2006. The contribution of Roman Valera, whose family hails from Abra, lies in the tradition of excellence of his works and his commitment to his profession, performing his magical seminal innovation on the Philippine Terno. Valera is said to have given the country its visual icon to the world via the Terno, is
In the early 40s, Valera produced a single piece of clothing from a four-piece ensemble consisting of blooms, skirt, overskirt, and long skirt. He unified the component of barred saya into a single dress with segregated bill sleeves, stitched at the waist, creasing the ankle, and zip up the back. Using zipper in the place of hook was already a radical change from the country light then, dropping the panuelo, the long folded scarf hanging down the chest, thus serving as the Filipinas' gesture of modesty. From the entire ensemble became a bigger shock for the women. Then Valera constructed the terno butterfly sleeves, giving them a solid vault in but hidden support. The word the butterfly sleeves become the terno defining future.
There are four national artists in the theater. Those are Daisy H. Aveana, Rolando S. Tonio, Wilfredo Ma, Guerrero, and Honorata de la Gama. Daisy H. Aveana, National Artist for Theater, 1999, January 26, 1917, May 12, 2013. Daisy H. Aveana is an actor, director, and writer. Born in Roxas City, Capiz on January 26, 1917, she elevated legitimate theater and dramatic arts to a new level of excellence by staging and performing in breakthrough productions of classic Filipino and foreign plays and by encouraging the establishment of performing groups and the professionalization of Filipino theater. Together with her husband, national artist Lamberto Aveana and other artists, she co-founded the Barangay Theater Guild in 1939, which paved the way for the popularization of theater and dramatic arts in the country, utilizing radio and television.
Rolando S. Tinio, National Artist for Theater and Literature, 1997, March 5, 1937 to July 7, 1997. Rolando S. Tinio, playwright, thespian, poet, teacher, critic, and translator, marked his career with prolific artist productions. Tinio's chief distinction is as a stage director whose original insight into the script he handled brought forth productions notable for their visual impact and intellectual cogency. Subsequently, after staging production for the Ateneo Experimental Theater, its organized and administrator as well, he took on Teatro Filipino. It was a Teatro Filipino which he left a considerable amount of work reviving traditional Filipino drama by restaging old theater forms like the Zarzuela and opening Treasure House of contemporary Western drama. It was excellence and beauty of his practice that claimed for the theater a place among the arts in the Philippines in 1960s. Aside from his collection poetry, Sit-Sit, Sa Kuliglig, Dunong-Dunungan, Kristal na Universo, A Trick of Mirrors. Among his works were the following films: Script for Now and Forever, Gamitin Mo Ako, Bayad Puri and Milagros, Zarzuela and Mestiza, Ako, Ang Kiri, Ana Maria, The Comedya, Orosman, at Zafira and Larawan, the musical.
Wilfredo M.A. Guerrero, National Artist for Theater, 1997, January 22, 1910, April 28, 1995. Wilfredo Ma. Guerrero is a teacher and theater artist whose 35 years of devoted professorship has produced the most sterling luminaries in Philippine performing arts today: Ben Cervantes, Celia Diaz-Loro, Joey Verada, Giovanni Gamboa, etc. In 1947, he was appointed as UP Dramatic Club Director and served for 16 years. As founder and artistic director of the UP Mobile Theater, he pioneered the concept of theater campus tour and delivered no less than 2,500 performances in a span of 19 committed years of service. His plays include Half an Hour in a Convent, Wanted, A Chaperone, Forever, Condemned, Perhaps, and Unity, Deep, In My Heart, Three Rats, Our Strange Ways, The Forsaken House, Frustrations.
Honorata Atang Dalarama, National Artist for Theater and Music, 1987 Musical sa January 11, 1902 to July 11, 1991. Honorata Atang Dalarama was formally honored as the Queen of Kundiman in 1979 That already 74 years old sing the same sing na basig na banga that she sang as a 15-year-old girl in the Zarzuela's Dalagang Bukid. Atom became the very first actress in the very first locally produced Filipino film when she essayed the same role in the Zarzuela's film version. As early as age 7, Atom was already being cast in Spanish Zarzuelas such as Mascotas, Sueño de Unvals, and Marina. She counts the role of an orphan in Pangarap ni Rosa as her most rewarding and satisfying role that she played with realism. The stage sparkling with silver coinstones by a teary-eyed audience. Atom passionately believes that the Zarzuela and the Kundiman express best the Filipino soul, and even performed Kundiman and other Filipino songs for the Itas or Negritos of Zambales and the Sierra Madre, the Bagobos of Davao and other lumad of Mindanao.
There are also 5 national artists in the Philippines in cinema. Those are Lamberto Villavellana, Lino Broca, Ishmael Bernal, Ferdinand Poe Jr., and Kidlat Tahimik. First is Lamberto Villavellana. In 1978, he was considered as a national artist for the theater and film in the Philippines. He is a director for theater and film. He has the distinction of being called the Boy Wonder of Philippine movies as early as 1939. He was the first to use the motion picture camera to establish a point of view, a move that revolutionized the technique of film narration. His films are Badjao, Anak Dalita, Destination Vietnam, Candelerong Pilak, Sergeant Hassan, and The Devil Within. Lino Broca is a national artist for film and broadcasting arts in 1997. He also directed for theater with the equal zeal and served in organizations that offer alternative visions like Philippine Educational Theater Association and the Concerned Artists of the Philippines. At the same time, he garnered award and recognition from institutions like the CCP, FAMAS, TOYM, and Cannes Film Festival. To name a few, Broca's films include the following: Santiago, Wanted Perfect Mother, Tubog sa Ginto, Stardom, Tinimbang ka ngunit kulang, Maynila sa Kuko ng Liwanag, Insyang, Jaguar, Bona, Macho Dancer, Orapro Nobis, at Makiusap Ka sa Diyos.
As he is national artist for film in 2018, Kidlat Tahimik has continually invented himself through his cinema, and so his cinema is as singular as the man. His debut film, Mabangong-Bangong Bangungot, 1977, was praised by critics and filmmakers from Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, and is still considered by many as pioneering post-colonial essay film. Tahimik's intense independence as an artist, and at the same time, the film itself called for Filipinos to actively live out their independence and not allow their culture to be imperialized by the West. Kidlat's imperfect film is an exemplar of what is worldwide known as third cinema, a cinema that is critical of the colonial exploitation and state oppression. His notable works are Balikbayan No. 1, Memories of Overdevelopment Redux 2015, Japanese Summers of Filipino Fundushi 1996, Why is Yellow in the Middle of the Rainbow 1983 to 1994, Letters to My Three Sons 1990 to 1992, Turumba 1983, Who Invented the Yo-Yo? Who Invented the Moonbuggy 1979, Pagbangong Bangungot Perform Nightmare 1977.
Ismael Bernal is also a national artist in cinema in 2001. Ismael Bernal was a filmmaker of the first order and of the very few who can be truly called a maestro. Critics have hailed him as the genius of Philippine cinema. Among his notable films are Pahiram ng Isang Umaga, Broken Marriage, Himala, City After Dark, and Nunal sa Tubig. He was recognized as the Director of the Decade of the 1970s by the Catholic Mass Media Awards, 4-time Best Director by Urian Awards, and given the ASEAN Cultural Award in Communication Arts in 1993. Fernando Po Jr. He is also National Artist for Cinema in 2006. I assume that he is popular in this year until now. Ronald Allen K. Po, popularly known as Fernando Po Jr., was a cultural icon in tremendous audience impact and cinema artist and craftsman.
as actor, director, writer, and producer. The image of the underdog was projected in his films such as Apollo Robles, Batang Maynila, Mga Alabok sa Lupa, Batang Matador, and Batang Estibador, Ako ang Katarungan, Tatak ng Alipin, Totoy Bato, Asidilyo, Partida, and Ang Probinsyano among many others. The mythical hero, on the other hand, was highlighted in Ang Alamat, Ang Pagbabalik ng Lawin, including his Panday series, and the action-adventure films adapted from comics materials such as Ang Kampana sa San Quiteria, Santo Domingo, and Alupihang Dagat.
We have 5 national artists in the music. Those are Antonio Buenaventura, Jose Maceda, Lucrecia R. Casilag, Hernani J. Cuenco, and Ryan Cayabyab. Antonio Buenaventura is a national artist for music in 1988. Buenaventura composed songs, compositions for solo instrument, as well as symphonic and orchestral works based on the folk songs of various Philippines ethnic groups. He was also a conductor and restored the Philippine Army Band to its former prestige as one of the finest military bands in the world, making it the only band that can sound like a symphony orchestra. His written works are Triumphal Mark, Echoes of the Past, Hester Fantasy, Second Symphony in E-flat, Echoes from the Philippines, Ode to Freedom. Jose Maceda, composer, musicologist, teacher, and performer, explored the musicality of the Filipino deeply. Maceda embarked on a lifelong dedication to the understanding and popularization of Filipino traditional music. He wrote papers that enlightened scholars, both Filipino and foreign, about the nature of Philippine traditional and ethnic music. Maceda's experimentation also freed Filipino musical expressions from a strictly Eurocentric mold. Usually performed as a communal ritual, his compositions like Ugma Ugma in 1963, Pagsamba in 1968, and Udlut Udlut in 1975 are monuments to his unflagging commitment to Philippine music. Other major works include Agungan, Hubing, Pagsamba, Ugnayan, Ading, Aruding, Si Asid, and Suling Suling. And that's all. Thank you.
Lucrecia R. Casilag. She is also a national artist for music, an educator, composer, performing artist, administrator, and cultural entrepreneur of national and international caliber. Had involved herself fully in sharpening the Filipino audiences at creation of music. She dared to incorporate indigenous Filipino instrument in orchestral production, such as the prize-winning toccata for percussion and winds, the advertisement and concertant, and the score of the Feliciana, Misang Filipino, and the Profundis. Her orchestral music includes love song Legend of the Sarimanok, Ang Pamana, Philippine Scenes, her son Jose Sisa, and chamber music like Awit ng Mga Awit, Psalm, Fantais, on a 4-note theme, and it made jazz ethnical.
Hernani J. Cuenco is a seasoned musician born on May 10, 1936 in Malolos, Bulacan. He is a composer, film scorer, musical director, and music teacher. He wrote an outstanding and memorable body of work that resonates with the Filipino sense of musicality and which embody an ingenuous voice that traces the artistic dimension of the contemporary Filipino music. Cuenco played with the Filipino Youth Symphony Orchestra and the Manila Symphony Orchestra from 1960 to 1968, and the Manila Chamber Soloist from 1966 to 1970. He completed a music degree in piano and cello from the University of Santo Tomas, where he also taught for decades until his death in 1980. His song and ballads included Nahan, Kahit na magtiis, ang biligin mo ng hamog ang uhaw na lupa, Pilipinas, Inang Bayan, Isang Dalangin, Kalesa, Bato sa Buhangin, and Gaano Kita Kamahal. The LA latter song knows how Cuenco has enriched the Filipino love ballad by adding the elements of kundiman to it.
Ryan Cayabyab is a national artist for music 2018.
Mr. C is the most accomplished composer, arranger, and musical director in the Philippine music industry since this bloom beginning 1970s. His learned, skillful, and versatile musical style spans a wide range of genres from conservatory of art composition such as a concert, religious music, symphonic work, art song, opera, and concerto to mainstream popular idioms in the music industry and in live contemporary multimedia shows, musical theater, dance, and film. Notable works: Ramahari, 2-act musical ballet, 1980. Kati, the musical, 2-act musical, 1988. Smoky Mountain, pop CD album, 1919. One Christmas, Christmas album, 1993. Noli Me Tangere, Telecine musical, 1995. Spoliarium, 3-act opera, 2003. Ignacio of Loyola, film score, 2016. Larawan, the musical, full-length musical film, 2017. The Coconut Nut, kay ganda ng ating musika, nais ko, paraiso, kahit ikay panaginip lang, kailan, tuwing umuulan at kapiling ka.